You might think everyone can be saved, but there are some who cannot. In this video, we will uncover the 7 types of people who cannot be saved. Understanding who these people are is crucial. It's not about giving up on them, but recognizing when your efforts are better spent elsewhere. Imagine pouring water into a broken glass. No matter how much you pour, it never fills up. This is what it feels like when trying to help these types of people. Their behaviors and mindsets create barriers that block any positive change, making it impossible to save them. If we don't understand who these people are, we may waste our energy and miss the chance to help those who truly need it. By knowing these types, we can protect our own energy and direct our efforts towards those who are open and ready for help. Imagine dedicating your time and resources to someone who never changes, no matter what you do. It's frustrating and disheartening. Worse still, it could prevent you from helping someone who is truly ready for change. The stakes are high because our time and energy are limited. We need to be wise about where we invest them. The first type of person who cannot be saved is the one who denies their own problems. These people refuse to acknowledge their issues and therefore cannot be helped. They live in a state of denial, believing that everything is fine when it clearly isn't. This denial creates a barrier that blocks any attempt to help them. When someone is in denial, they are essentially rejecting reality. They do not see the need for change because they do not believe anything is wrong. This mindset is incredibly difficult to break through because it is rooted in fear and insecurity. People in denial are often scared of facing the truth. Admitting that there is a problem can be terrifying because it means they have to deal with the consequences. It means they have to take responsibility, and that can be overwhelming. So, they choose to ignore the problem, hoping it will go away on its own. Unfortunately, problems do not just disappear. They grow and fester, becoming even more difficult to deal with over time. Denial is a defense mechanism, a way for people to protect themselves from pain. But in reality, it only causes more harm. When you try to help someone who is in denial, you will likely face resistance. They may become defensive, angry, or even hostile. They may accuse you of trying to control them or say that you are the one with the problem. This resistance is their way of maintaining their illusion of control. Trying to save someone who is in denial is like trying to force open a locked door. It takes a lot of effort, and you may end up hurting yourself in the process. It's important to recognize when someone is in denial and understand that you cannot save them until they are ready to face the truth themselves. The second type is those who blame others for their own failures. They do not take responsibility and thus block any chance of growth or improvement. These people constantly point fingers at others, refusing to see their own role in their problems. This blame game is a way for them to avoid accountability. When something goes wrong, they immediately look for someone to blame, rather than looking at their own actions and choices. Blaming others is an easy way out. It allows people to avoid facing their own shortcomings and mistakes. It protects their ego and gives them a false sense of superiority. However, it also keeps them stuck in a cycle of negativity and stagnation. When you blame others, you give away your power. You become a victim of circumstances, helpless and unable to change your situation. This mindset is incredibly limiting and prevents any real growth or improvement. People who blame others often have a fragile sense of self-worth. Admitting to a mistake or failure can feel like a personal attack on their value and competence. To protect themselves, they project their failures onto others. This behavior can be toxic, creating a negative environment where no one feels safe or valued. It can damage relationships and create a culture of mistrust and resentment. Trying to help someone who constantly blames others is like trying to build a house on quicksand. No matter how strong your foundation, it will eventually collapse under the weight of their negativity and refusal to take responsibility. The third type are those who are closed-minded. They reject new ideas and perspectives, making it impossible for them to change. Closed-minded people live in a bubble of their own beliefs and refuse to consider anything that challenges their worldview. This rigidity keeps them stuck in old patterns and prevents any growth or progress. Being closed-minded is often rooted in fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of being wrong, and fear of change. It's easier to cling to familiar beliefs and routines than to step outside of one's comfort zone. However, this fear-based mindset limits their potential and keeps them from experiencing new opportunities and growth. Closed-minded people often shut down conversations and reject any information that contradicts their beliefs. They are quick to judge and dismiss others, believing that their way is the only right way. This behavior creates a barrier to learning and understanding, keeping them in a state of ignorance and stagnation. When you try to introduce new ideas to a closed-minded person, you will likely face resistance. They may become defensive, dismissive, or even hostile. They may try to undermine your credibility or attack your character to protect their own beliefs. This resistance is their way of maintaining their sense of control and security. Trying to save someone who is closed-minded is like trying to plant a seed on a concrete floor. No matter how much you nurture it, it will never grow. It's important to recognize when someone is closed-minded and understand that you cannot change them until they are willing to open their mind and consider new perspectives. The fourth type is the constant complainer. These people focus only on negativity and cannot see the good in any situation, blocking any chance for positive change. Constant complainers have a habit of finding fault in everything. They are never satisfied and always have something to gripe about. This negative outlook creates a toxic environment that affects everyone around them. Complaining is often a way for people to avoid taking action. It's easier to complain about a situation than to do something to change it. This behavior keeps them stuck in a cycle of negativity and helplessness. By focusing on what's wrong, they miss opportunities for growth and improvement. Constant complainers drain the energy of those around them. Their negativity can be contagious, spreading like a virus and bringing down the mood and morale of others. It can create a hostile environment where people feel discouraged and unmotivated. When you try to help a constant complainer, you will likely face resistance. They may argue that their complaints are valid and that you don't understand their situation. They may reject your suggestions and continue to focus on the negative aspects. This resistance is their way of maintaining their victim mentality. Trying to save someone who is a constant complainer is like trying to fill a bottomless pit. No matter how much positivity you offer, it will never be enough. It's important to recognize when someone is stuck in this pattern and understand that you cannot help them until they are ready to shift their focus and take responsibility for their own happiness. The fifth type are those who are envious. They focus on what others have instead of appreciating their own blessings, leading to a life of dissatisfaction. Envious people constantly compare themselves to others and feel resentful when they perceive someone else has more or is doing better. This constant comparison creates a sense of inadequacy and unhappiness. Envy is a destructive emotion. It eats away at a person's self-esteem and creates a barrier to gratitude and contentment. When you are always looking at what others have, you fail to see the good in your own life. This mindset keeps you in a state of lack and prevents any real happiness. Envious people often engage in negative behaviors to cope with their feelings. They may gossip, spread rumors, or try to undermine the success of others. This behavior creates a toxic environment and damages relationships. When you try to help someone who is envious, you will likely face resistance. They may deny their feelings or justify their behavior. They may argue that their envy is justified and that they are simply striving for what they deserve. This resistance is their way of maintaining their sense of victimhood. Trying to save someone who is envious is like trying to fill a cup with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it will never be enough. It's important to recognize when someone is consumed by envy and understand that you cannot help them until they are ready to focus on their own blessings and work on their self-esteem. The sixth type is arrogant. They believe they are better than others and refuse to accept help or advice, which keeps them stuck in their ways. Arrogant people have an inflated sense of self-importance and often look down on others. This attitude creates a barrier to learning and growth. Arrogance is often a defense mechanism to hide deep-seated insecurities. By projecting an image of superiority, arrogant people protect themselves from feeling vulnerable or inadequate. However, this behavior also isolates them and prevents any meaningful connections. Arrogant people often reject any feedback or advice, believing they know best. This closed-mindedness keeps them from learning and improving. It also creates a hostile environment where others feel undervalued and disrespected. When you try to help someone who is arrogant, you will likely face resistance. They may dismiss your suggestions and criticize you instead. They may argue that they don't need help and that you are the one who doesn't understand. This resistance is their way of maintaining their facade of superiority. Trying to save someone who is arrogant is like trying to teach a brick wall. No matter how much you try, nothing gets through. It's important to recognize when someone is arrogant and understand that you cannot help them until they are willing to drop their guard and open themselves to learning and growth. The seventh type are those who are always fearful. Their constant fear paralyzes them, preventing any forward movement or growth. Fearful people live in a state of anxiety and apprehension. They worry about the future, dread change, and often imagine the worst-case scenarios. Fear is a powerful emotion that can control every aspect of a person's life. It keeps them from taking risks, trying new things, or stepping outside their comfort zone. This constant fear creates a barrier to personal and spiritual growth. When you live in fear, you are always looking for threats, real or imagined. This mindset keeps you stuck in a state of survival, unable to relax and enjoy life. Fearful people often avoid situations that might challenge them or force them to confront their fears. They may shy away from opportunities, avoid making decisions, and resist change. This behavior keeps them stuck in a cycle of fear and stagnation. When you try to help someone who is always fearful, you will likely face resistance. They may argue that their fears are justified and that you don't understand their situation. They may cling to their fear as a way to protect themselves from perceived threats. This resistance is their way of maintaining a sense of safety. Trying to save someone who is always fearful is like trying to lead a horse to water that refuses to drink. No matter how much you reassure them, they will always find something to fear. It's important to recognize when someone is paralyzed by fear and understand that you cannot help them until they are ready to confront their fears and take steps towards overcoming them. Understanding these types of people can help us focus our energy on those who are open and ready for help. It's not about giving up on anyone, but recognizing when your efforts are better spent elsewhere. Each of these types, those who deny their problems, blame others, are closed-minded, constantly complain, are envious, arrogant, or always fearful, create barriers that block positive change. Recognizing these behaviors and mindsets can save you from frustration and help you direct your efforts more effectively. You can spend your time and energy on those who are truly ready for change and growth. Remember, everyone has the potential to change, but they must first be willing to acknowledge their issues and take responsibility for their own growth. Understanding these types of people also helps you reflect on your own behaviors. If you see any of these traits in yourself, take it as an opportunity for self-improvement. By addressing these issues within yourself, you can remove the barriers to your own growth and become more open to positive change. It's important to remember that you cannot save someone who does not want to be saved. Your time and energy are valuable, and you should use them wisely. Focus on helping those who are ready and willing to accept your help. By doing so, you can make a real difference in their lives and contribute to their journey towards growth and improvement. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more content on spirituality and personal growth. Reflect on these traits and see if any apply to you or those around you. Remember, understanding and recognizing these types of people is the first step towards focusing your efforts where they can make the most difference. Peace and light.